Apple, Macintosh.
Erika Kirk apparently wants supporters to pledge their loyalty to her, literally in writing. That might sound unbelievable, but what's about to be shown is something many people would find shocking and hard to ignore. The claims and documents being discussed have been circulating online, and they have sparked a lot of strong reactions. In a previous video, the discussion focused on Erika's use of Charlie's love letter in fundraising efforts that allegedly helped generate donations for TPUSA.
Roll this Blake Neff having creating content on ML because I said,
what have I done this time?
No, this is what the best part, right? Because I mentioned Blake, and he says, "What roll? Well, this is a perfect time to release it. This is a perfect time to announce." Little did this reporter know that Blake Neff is director of MLK history at the Charlie Kirk Show.
Yeah, it's my new title right there.
Congratulations,
right there,
Blake. Wow,
director of MLK Truth.
MLK, they
I
didn't
like
know-
the white MLK better.
He's also known as the white
Blake
MLK.
Neff.
A post from Blake Neff was also highlighted, where he defended Erika and essentially argued that these kinds of fundraising tactics are necessary because TPUSA carries out important work. If that email involving Charlie's letter seemed controversial, the latest material shared online has created even more debate. New letters have surfaced, and they are drawing serious attention across social media.
5-year harassment period ended 5 years ago, and then that thread lay dormant for 5 years. And then after you spend 4 days around Asian women, all of a sudden, someone randomly decides to fire up the old laptop, check out this woman minding her own business, trying to start a life for herself, bothering nobody. Her only crime to you, Blake, was that she existed and probably didn't take an interest in you, because very few, if anyone, ever has. It's not a big stretch to me to believe that you were the one that did it. It is a massive stretch to me to believe anyone else would have possibly done it on that day.
A closer look at those letters, alongside correspondence reportedly sent by TPUSA in August 2025, before Charlie's passing, reveals details that many observers are now closely examining. The story gets even stranger from here. A social media user known as Village Crazy Lady shared a post that quickly grabbed attention online. She wrote, "My girlfriend got this solicitation in the mail yesterday. It's so gross the way they're still exploiting Charlie's death for fundraising, despite having already raised $250 million off his death and having nothing to show for it."
On the day you're coming back from being around tens or hundreds of thousands of Asian women, Andrew, Erika, Tyler, TPUSA board, family members of Erika Kirk, family members of Charlie Kirk, is this who you want carrying your legacy? Is this honestly who you want bearing the torch, being the mouthpiece for Charlie Kirk and for TPUSA? The day in and day out mouthpiece on the Charlie Kirk show? Is this who you want? And frankly, is his...
The post sparked a wave of reactions and debate across different platforms. The first page she shared was especially eye-catching. According to the post, it appears to be a pre-written response that a donor could allegedly send back along with a contribution. Take a look at the wording being discussed. The letter is titled, "Personal Reply to Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA." It then reads, "Dear Erika, yes, you have my total heartfelt support. I am honored to stand by your side. I know you and the rest of Turning Point USA will not only protect Charlie's memory, you will drive his mission forward." The language immediately caught people's attention and fueled even more conversation online.
Constant assault on Candace Owens, not indicative of the actual underlying problem, that he has a deep-seated problem with minority women? But I think he does. I think he does. I think it's dangerous. I think it's bad. I think it's really bad. So I put the ball in your court, TPUSA. I think you should get to the bottom of this.
The letter continues with an appeal tied to Charlie's legacy. It states, "The country needs his voice more than ever. To help, I am enclosing a special donation in honor of Charlie. Please accept my gift in the amount of $35, $50, $100, $250, $500, $1,000, or other amount of dollars. That wording immediately became a major topic of discussion online. Before getting into the reaction, it's worth looking at some of the comments people posted after seeing the letter. One person wrote, "OMG, that's like writing yourself a love note." Another commented, "People should start drawing the middle finger in the amount section and mailing it back." Others argued that references to Charlie have become the main message keeping supporters engaged. One comment summed up that view by saying, mentioning CK is now the only connection talking point they have. They can't stop. They take Charlie out, the support falls apart. Many critics believe signs of that decline are already becoming visible. Others say the wording is simply awkward and overly personal, making the entire appeal feel uncomfortable to read. The phrase about giving total heartfelt support has especially become a lightning rod for criticism, with people questioning who approved the final version of the letter in the first place. The controversy has only added more attention to the fundraising effort, and the debate around these mailers continues to grow. Still not convinced? Then take a look at the letter that was reportedly sent out under Erika Kirk's name. Critics online have been debating whether the message feels personal or carefully crafted for fundraising purposes. The wording has especially drawn attention because of how strongly it centers on loyalty, support, and Charlie's legacy. The letter begins, "Dear friend, over the last 8+ months, I have heard from so many of Charlie's supporters their thoughts, prayers, and love for Charlie and the impact he had on this country." It continues, "I am beyond thankful for the outpouring of support." The message then shifts to the growth of Turning Point USA following Charlie's death. According to the letter, since Charlie's murder, Turning Point USA has experienced unprecedented interest in our programs from everyday Americans who are fed up with political violence and who want to honor Charlie's vision for America. The letter goes on to claim that over 120,000 young people have asked how to bring Turning Point USA to their schools. Several additional accomplishments are listed as well. The letter states, "We've launched more than 5,000 high school and college student chapters. More than 10,000 pastors have partnered with us to bring pro-America programming to their churches. Charlie and TPUSA videos have been viewed billions of times. Over 1 million teachers and parents requested our classroom curricula." The long list of achievements is clearly intended to showcase the organization's reach and momentum, but the letter's overall tone has become a major point of debate among critics and supporters alike. The letter doesn't stop with the organization's accomplishments. It moves into a much bigger message about the future of the movement and what comes next. Critics have pointed to this section in particular, arguing that it frames the organization as entering a new era while still heavily relying on Charlie's legacy. As discussed earlier, Erika has emphasized the idea that continued support will help carry the mission forward. The message presents TPUSA as expanding beyond what was previously envisioned, with supporters being encouraged to see themselves as part of that growth. That theme appears throughout the letter and becomes even more pronounced in the next passages. The letter states, "The assassin who took Charlie's life and the evildoers who threatened him for years didn't just try to silence a man. They tried to silence the national movement Charlie built and his message of patriotism, faith, family, and God's merciful love. If they thought Charlie's mission was powerful before, they have no idea what they just unleashed." The message then argues that the movement has only become more energized since Charlie's death. According to the letter, the impact is being felt throughout the organization and among its supporters nationwide. The letter continues by presenting the movement as prepared to expand its influence and play an even larger role in shaping the future. Another section reads, "Let me be clear. The movement my husband built will never be stopped. Because of the support of 1 million plus patriots who have given to Turning Point USA, we have been able to reach millions of students across the country with our message. And because of their support, this movement will grow stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever." That language has generated strong reactions online. Supporters see it as a declaration of resilience and determination, while critics argue it places an extraordinary amount of emphasis on building momentum through Charlie's legacy. Either way, this portion of the letter has become one of the most talked about sections in the entire mailer. The letter closes with an emotional appeal that leans heavily on Charlie's legacy and the future of the organization. One of the most discussed passages reads, "Charlie gave everything for this country, and I refuse to let his name be just a footnote in history. We will not let the light he lit go out. Not now, not ever, and I invite you today to join me in supporting this mission. Charlie's life work, to save America for Charlie." That wording has become a major talking point among people reacting to the mailer online. The message continues with a postscript focused on faith and remembrance. It states, "P.S. Charlie wanted to be remembered for his courage, for his faith. Please don't lose your faith in this moment and remember that our God is so good." Right beneath that message is a QR code encouraging readers to donate immediately and support the cause. Critics have seized on this section more than almost any other part of the letter. Many argue that the combination of personal remembrance, faith-based messaging, and a direct donation request creates an especially emotional fundraising pitch. Supporters, meanwhile, view it as a sincere effort to keep Charlie's mission alive and rally people behind the organization's goals. The entire appeal is wrapped in language about loyalty, remembrance, and carrying the movement forward, which is exactly why it has generated so much debate and attention online. That raises an interesting question. What did these fundraising mailers look like before Charlie's death? Looking back at older examples gives a useful point of comparison, especially since one of the last mailers reportedly carried an August 2025 date and began showing up in mailboxes the following month. What's especially noteworthy is the topic it focused on. Instead of centering on Charlie's legacy, the message appears to have been aimed at broader political issues and concerns about the direction of the country. Only a blurry image of the mailer has surfaced, so some of the wording is difficult to make out, but the overall message seems fairly clear. The letter appears to begin with, "Dear American, do you believe America is a country worth saving? Do you believe America is a country worth celebrating? If you answered yes to either of those questions, I invite you to join Turning Point USA in the fight to save America." Even from the limited image, the contrast between that message and the newer mailers is hard to miss. The older mailer appears to continue with a message focused on political and cultural issues rather than personal legacy. Because the available image is blurry, some portions are difficult to read with certainty. But the general theme seems centered on concerns about the influence of the political left and the direction of the country. From what can be made out, the letter says something along the lines of, "For decades, the radical left has been poisoning young Americans with a distorted view of America." It then appears to argue that political opponents have worked to weaken traditional values and replace them with systems that limit open debate and free expression. The mailer then shifts into a personal introduction from Charlie himself. It reads, "My name is Charlie Kirk, founder and CEO of Turning Point USA." The letter reportedly continues by explaining why TPUSA was founded in 2012, arguing that growing anti-American sentiment had pushed the country toward a critical moment. The next section strikes a more optimistic tone. According to the text, Turning Point USA is presented as a force that has pushed back against those trends while encouraging young people to embrace patriotism and a more positive view of America once again. The mailer eventually transitions into a direct fundraising appeal. In it, Charlie reportedly writes, "I want to invite you to join us at Turning Point USA, the largest and fastest growing organization in the nation, a movement that loves America and all she stands for, with a gift of $50, $100, $500, $1,000, or whatever amount you can give." The appeal is then paired with an incentive for supporters. The letter continues, "I also want you to have Turning Point USA's beautiful limited editions U.S. Constitution enclosed in this letter as our way of saying thank you for standing with us to defeat the radical left." Looking at the older mailer, the message feels very straightforward. The focus is on political activism, organizational growth, and opposition to ideological rivals. The fundraising request is there, but it is tied directly to a broader mission statement about the group's goals and priorities. That contrast is what many people find interesting when comparing the older mailers with the newer ones. The earlier message centers heavily on policy, activism, and movement building, while the more recent letters place much greater emphasis on Charlie's memory, legacy, and the emotional connection supporters may still feel. Whether that shift is viewed as natural or controversial depends on who is reading it, but the difference in tone is difficult to ignore. One thing that stands out when comparing the older mailers is how clear the pitch was. Readers could immediately see where the donation was supposed to go and what cause it was meant to support. The message was basically, here is the mission, here is what the organization stands against, and here is why support is being requested. There was far less focus on emotional storytelling and much more emphasis on the organization's stated goals and activities. At the same time, a separate conversation has been gaining momentum online. Some commentators have speculated that Blake Neff may have helped shape certain speeches, emails, social media posts, or other public communications connected to Erika. These claims remain speculation, but the topic has generated a lot of discussion across social media platforms. That attention intensified after Blake became increasingly vocal on X regarding claims that a video allegedly exists showing Charlie appointing Erika as the next CEO of Turning Point USA. According to those discussions, supporters of that claim argue the footage exists, while critics question why it has not been publicly released. The debate has only drawn more scrutiny from online commentators and independent researchers. One person who weighed in on the controversy was Baron Coleman. According to Barron, Blake previously faced criticism over anonymous online activity that reportedly included offensive and demeaning comments posted on an internet forum. Barron also pointed to reports alleging that a discussion thread had been created that mocked an Asian woman known to Blake in real life. Those allegations have resurfaced as people continue digging through past controversies and connections. As often happens online, once attention starts building around a public figure, older stories and past accusations can quickly return to the spotlight and become part of a much larger debate. According to reports that resurfaced online, the forum thread in question allegedly remained active for years and accumulated hundreds of posts focused on a specific woman. Blake Neff was previously dismissed from Tucker Carlson's show in 2020 following controversy surrounding anonymous online comments that were linked to him. The allegations state that he monitored a woman's Facebook activity and shared details about her personal life on an anonymous forum where other users allegedly joined in making negative remarks about her. Those past accusations have now become part of a much larger online debate. Critics argue that the behavior described in those reports reflects a troubling pattern, while others point out that many of the current claims rely on interpretations of old internet activity and circumstantial connections. Barron's most recent claim focuses on the timing of activity connected to the old forum thread. According to Barron, the thread allegedly became active again in September 2025 after roughly 5 years of inactivity. He also noted that the reported reactivation occurred on the same day Blake was returning from a TPUSA trip to South Korea that he attended with Charlie. Barron has repeatedly argued that the timing is too unusual to ignore and has suggested that Blake could have been involved. However, no public evidence has been presented that definitively proves who was responsible for the alleged reactivation. Even so, the coincidence has fueled intense speculation online, with critics continuing to examine the timeline and discuss possible connections. Barron went a step further with his criticism. He argued that Blake's alleged behavior in the forum controversy, combined with his more recent public disputes with Candace, could point to a broader pattern in how he interacts with certain women, particularly minority women. That claim quickly gained traction among critics and sparked a fresh wave of discussion online. As Blake's past controversies resurfaced, some people began asking bigger questions. Online commentators started wondering who originally hired him and whether decision-makers were aware of the allegations and public criticism surrounding him at the time. Those questions have become another major part of the ongoing debate. To understand why this topic keeps resurfacing, some additional context is helpful. Over the years, Charlie and members of his team produced content that was critical of Martin Luther King Jr., arguing that certain aspects of his legacy should be re-examined through a conservative lens. Those discussions were controversial and generated strong reactions from both supporters and critics. At one point, a viewer reportedly asked during a show who was responsible for creating content related to MLK. According to critics who shared the clip online, the response was delivered in a joking manner and referenced Blake. Some viewers interpreted the joke as being connected to Blake's past controversy involving allegations of racist online comments, which made the exchange stand out even more. For critics, the moment raised questions about how seriously those past allegations were being treated. Others viewed it as an offhand joke that did not carry deeper meaning. Either way, the clip circulated widely, and one person who reposted it added the caption, "Yes, so I don't like this." The exchange has since become another point of discussion in the broader debate surrounding Blake and his history. The clip continued to generate criticism online. Some viewers argued that joking about putting Blake Neff in charge of MLK-related content was inappropriate, especially given the controversy that followed his departure from Fox News over past anonymous online posts. While supporters often point out that Charlie was known for joking around and using humor on his shows, critics felt that this particular moment landed poorly and created unnecessary controversy. For others following the broader TPUSA story, the discussion has expanded beyond Blake alone. They argue that conversations about TPUSA, Tyler Robinson, or Erika Kirk inevitably lead back to questions about Charlie's leadership and decision-making. Since Blake remained part of the organization, some critics contend that Charlie either approved of his role or was comfortable keeping him on the team despite the public controversy surrounding him. One commentator even challenged Erika directly, arguing that removing Blake from the organization would help address concerns about the group's public image. The same post also stated support for seeking answers about Charlie's death while expressing skepticism toward the lone shooter explanation that has circulated publicly. The post then raised broader questions about how much Charlie may have known about the backgrounds, actions, or views of people within his circle, including staff members, donors, and political allies. Those comments sparked significant debate and ultimately drew backlash from people who felt the questions were unfair, speculative, or went too far. One of the challenges in discussions like this is that some people view any criticism of Charlie as completely off limits. For those individuals, even raising difficult questions can trigger strong reactions. Others argue that no public figure should be treated as beyond scrutiny. The reasoning is simple. Charlie was a human being, not a flawless symbol. Like anyone in a leadership position, he likely made decisions that supporters praised and others questioned. Examining those decisions is part of understanding the full picture. With that in mind, critics have continued revisiting Blake Neff's past online controversy. According to reports from 2020, Blake was accused of posting offensive comments on the AutoAdmit forum under the pseudonym Charles 12. Those allegations became a major national story and remain a recurring topic whenever his name returns to the spotlight. News reports at the time cited examples of posts that allegedly included racist, sexist, and otherwise offensive remarks directed at Black people, Asian Americans, women, and other groups. The reported comments generated widespread backlash and led to intense public criticism. Following the controversy, Blake resigned from Tucker Carlson's show after CNN published its investigation into the account. Fox News reportedly described the posts as horrendous and condemned their content. Today, critics of Blake, including some supporters of Candace Owens, continue referencing that controversy when discussing his current disputes and public feuds. They argue that the history is relevant context when evaluating his conduct, while others maintain that current debates should be judged on their own facts rather than solely through the lens of past scandals. Either way, the controversy remains a significant part of the conversation surrounding him, so that's where the speculation comes in. Critics online have started connecting these separate controversies and suggesting that Blake could be involved in drafting some of Erika's public communications. Those claims remain unproven, but they have fueled even more discussion because of the fundraising emails and the highly personal donor letters addressed to Erika that have already drawn so much attention online. At this point, critics argue that many of the decisions and public responses coming from Erika and TPUSA raise more questions than answers. From their perspective, there has been little effort to directly address the growing concerns and controversies that continue circulating online. Instead, opponents claim the organization appears more focused on moving forward quickly and keeping attention on fundraising and expansion efforts rather than revisiting uncomfortable topics. The debate surrounding these letters has become especially intense. Some readers view the pre-written messages of support as unusual and overly personal, while others see them as a standard fundraising tactic, designed to build a connection with donors. The reaction has been sharply divided from the start. There are also people who find the timing of Charlie's final mailer noteworthy, particularly because it focused heavily on political opponents shortly before the events that followed. For some, that coincidence stands out. For others, it is simply that a coincidence. And then there's Blake. His past controversies, current role, and ongoing public disputes continue to spark discussion across social media. What conclusions people draw from all of this vary widely, which is exactly why the conversation remains so active and controversial. At this point, critics argue that many of the decisions and public responses coming from Erika and TPUSA have only added to the confusion rather than clearing things up. From their perspective, key questions remain unanswered, and the organization seems more interested in moving forward than addressing the growing concerns being discussed online. Whether that criticism is fair or not, it has become a major part of the conversation surrounding these controversies. The debate over these letters has been especially heated. Some people see the pre-written messages of support as strange, overly personal, and uncomfortable to read. Others argue that fundraising campaigns often use emotional language and that the reaction is being blown out of proportion. Either way, the letters have clearly struck a nerve and generated a lot of attention. There are also those who continue to point out the timing of Charlie's final mail-in and the themes it focused on. For some observers, the coincidence is hard to ignore. For others, it's simply a coincidence and nothing more. As with so many parts of this story, opinions remain sharply divided. Then there's the ongoing debate surrounding Blake, his past controversies, and the role he may or may not play behind the scenes. Those questions continue to fuel speculation and keep the discussion alive. What do you think about all of this? Are the letters being overanalyzed, or do they raise legitimate concerns? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who are following this story. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates.